What's up, y'all? I'm back after taking a little bit of time off from making videos. The last several months, I've been digging into the college football film, looking at the incoming class of rookies, grading out their All-22 tape, putting together my positional rankings, big board, and all that. So I've been in the draft mindset for the last few months, and it's time to start sharing my thoughts with you all. For the next several months, we're going to be looking at the All-22 tape from the 2024 class, both pre-draft with my positional rankings and everything like that, but also post-draft with player fits and their landing spots. We're going to be starting with the most important position in football, quarterback. And we're going to start at the top of the position with my number one quarterback and my number one overall prospect in the 2024 NFL Draft, Caleb Williams from USC. We're going to do a 360 evaluation, the good, the bad, the at times ugly, and we're going to look at his background, his production, and the last portion of this video, we're going to be looking at his film breakdown where we're going to go trait by trait to see what Caleb Williams brings to his next franchise. Where I want to start with him is going to be in his background and his measurables. Caleb Williams is an Oklahoma transfer who followed his former coach, Lincoln Riley, to USC for his sophomore and junior seasons. He's 22 years old, maybe a touch undersized, at 6'1", 214 pounds. But with the way the NFL has moved in recent years, his size is not going to be an issue for him. Another measurement of his that really stands out to me, though, is his hand span. At 9 3/4 of an inch, he has a wide hand span, which allows him to do a lot of things. First of which, it won't be an issue for him to hold the ball in the elements, a concern that evaluators have had with other first quarterbacks off the board in the past, like Kenny Pickett and Joe Burrow. However, more importantly, his hand size allows him to make great ball fakes at the mesh point in the run game, but also convincing pump fakes as a passer, and this is something that we're going to get into a little bit later in the video. Now, getting into his film, I want to be transparent with the All-22 film that I watched. So you're going to see that I've watched a total of 10 games from his 2023 season and more from 2022, but I didn't track those, so I didn't throw them on this form. For this film evaluation, I came back with a 97.6 grade out of a possible 100, which firmly puts him in the early first-round talent, worthy of being considered for the first overall pick. Now, from a production standpoint, I'll throw his numbers on the screen for you to see, but Williams has put up some outstanding numbers in several highlight-worthy plays in his time in college. He had a great first season with Oklahoma before his Heisman-winning sophomore season at USC. In his final season in college, his production did take a slight step back compared to his prior year, but the numbers were still in a bubble, still impressive. Now that we have an understanding of his background, I want to get into a trait-by-trait breakdown from his All-22 film. The first trait that we're going to be looking at is Caleb Williams' arm talent. This is going to include his arm strength, which looks at how far he can vertically push the ball down the field, his arm power, which looks at the velocity that he generates on tight window throws, and the arm angles that he can throw from to manipulate the release point to get the ball out. As far as arm talent, Caleb Williams goes down that list and goes check, check, check. He has it all, so let's take a look at it now. On this first play, we're going to be looking at his pure arm strength to push the ball vertically down the field. On this throw, he takes one hitch and launches this ball from his own 15-yard line and hits the receiver in stride at the opposite 20-yard line for a 65-yard bomb downfield. This is impressive arm strength that not every NFL quarterback has in the NFL. He makes this throw look routine on tape. Moving on to this next play, we're again looking at arm strength, and Caleb Williams is going to be making this throw from his own 20-yard line from the right hash mark, and again delivering this ball in stride to the opposite sideline. And remember, college hash marks are wider than NFL hash marks. So this throw, while it might not seem impressive, is extremely impressive and requires elite arm strength, not to mention accuracy. When taking into account the width of the field that this ball is also traveling, this ball was easily thrown with 60+ air yards. On this next throw, we're going to be looking at the velocity and torque that Caleb is able to generate on his throws, as he's able to do so from a strong base or with no base at all, like on this throw. While moving to the left, he's going to square his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, and with no base, rips this ball from his own 25-yard line to the opposite 40, making this a 35-yard throw, moving left with no base. Another highly impressive throw that requires elite arm strength. Moving on to the next throw, this one's also going to highlight the power and velocity that he's able to throw with. He climbs the pocket to avoid the pressure and recreates the center of the pocket, plants his back foot, and while falling back, rips this ball to the receiver on time within the route and throws an absolute strike. Making this throw from your back foot while drifting back takes strong arm talent, and Williams checks that box. Now, with that being said, he's also able to throw the ball from a variety of arm angles and change the release point to fit balls around defenders with a sidearm, three-quarter type release throwing motion, and he's still able to do this while not sacrificing any accuracy or power on his throws. This kind of stuff is very, very impressive. Now we're going to move on to the next trait that I want to take a look at, and that's accuracy, which for a quarterback is obviously extremely important. And Caleb Williams is a very accurate passer, and he's excellent on both the easy stuff and the advanced stuff as well. He's consistently accurate in the short, intermediate, and deep portions of the field, but he's also reliable targeting outside the hash marks and throwing over the middle of the field. But beyond just accuracy, he also has advanced ball placement with outstanding placement on back shoulder throws, outstanding drop angles on deep throws, and great touch on layer throws between zones of a defense. Taking a look at these first couple throws, Caleb is going to be able to get this ball out with great timing with the receiver's route and pinpoint accuracy on the receiver's back shoulder, resulting in the receiver bringing in the throw. Back shoulder throws are a great asset for Caleb to have in his bag, as it comes in handy on both sideline throws and in the red zone. Having this level of accuracy and timing on back shoulder throws is an advanced level of ball placement, and it's something that should translate to the NFL game immediately. The final play that I want to take a look at with you is more impressive. It's probably the most impressive throw that I've seen, maybe throughout his entire tape. This one against Stanford, where he threw a timing back shoulder ball with great arc, allowing the receiver time to get his head around, locate the ball, and secure the catch. The placement on this throw shows that he has an understanding of receiver and defensive back leverage, and he puts this ball where only his receiver is going to be able to get his hands on it. Exciting throw to see from him on tape. Now, the next trait that I want to move on to is another very important aspect of the quarterback position, and that's decision making and mental processing. This includes his ability to read defenses, make full field reads, manipulate defenders to create advantageous situations for his receivers, and read out RPO and read option concepts. Caleb checks all these boxes, and I'll show you that now. On this first play, Caleb is able to identify that the defense is running cover zero. Cover zero is a man across the board concept where everyone else is bringing pressure. It's so important when faced with cover zero that a quarterback knows where their answer is, and Caleb does. On this play, the answer is the corner route. At the back of his drop, he gets the ball out with great timing at the receiver's stem and not allowing pressure to get home to him. The ball is delivered with great accuracy to the back corner of the end zone and with a great drop angle, allowing the receiver to get under it and make the catch for the touchdown. The next play, we're going to be running a dragon concept, which is a slant flat pairing versus cover one, which means the receivers are manned up on the outside. His receiver, Brendan Rice, another 2024 NFL draft prospect, wins at the stem with a diamond release, and Caleb Williams gets the ball out on time and hits Rice in stride. Unfortunately, Rice drops his throw, but this is an exciting throw from Caleb to identify man-to-man coverage and throw to beat it with great ball location. Moving on to the next play, I want to show Caleb's ability to read the full field. On this play, he reads the front side first reads the slant, then to the in, and then neither are open. After that, he comes backside to this third read, the corner, and that turns into more of a comeback type, but Caleb gets through his first two reads, hitches, and comes backside and finds that corner route on time and in rhythm of the offense. Now, taking a look at this next play, it's more the same with him reading the full field. On this one, the offense has a post corner over, and then it's tagged with a backside dig, and they're read in that order 1, 2, 3. After he realized neither of the post corner or the over are open, he hitches and hits the backside dig over the middle of the field. Both of these clips show his ability to read the full field and operate a multi-progressional read offense, and both of these plays come from the Notre Dame game, everyone's token game for explaining why Caleb Williams is not going to succeed in the NFL. When if they take the time and go watch the All-22 from start to finish, there's good plays in there as well. They just either don't see them or don't want to acknowledge that they exist. Continuing with his mental processing, I want to take a look at his ability to operate RPO and read option concepts. On this first play, he reads RPO. He reads that the linebackers and safeties are going to crash on the run fake, so he sees this, sees his receiver has inside leverage on this post route, pulls the ball, and floats the ball to the receiver in the end zone for the easy touchdown. Taking a look at the next one, Caleb is reading a read option concept, where he's reading the defensive end, and if he widens to secure the edge, Caleb's supposed to hand the ball off to the running back, but if he stays tight to the offensive line or crashes to play the run, he's supposed to tuck the ball for himself and score the touchdown. As we see here, the edge defender is going to crash. Caleb makes the correct read, keeps the ball for himself, and rushes for a touchdown. He consistently makes the correct read in both RPO and read option concepts, and will definitely be something that offensive coordinators are going to want to implement into the offense because of his rushing abilities. I have a couple more plays that I want to show the mental processing that he plays with, and this one is going to highlight his awareness, but also the hand size that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. USC is running a mesh concept here, and he's going to be targeting this drag route, but he shows advanced awareness on this play. When he goes to make this throw, he realizes that the defensive lineman is in the path of the throw, so he pump fakes, gets the defensive lineman to raise his arms and leave his feet, then he pulls it back down, and then gets this ball out to the receiver around the defensive lineman. It takes some large hands to keep grip of the ball on throws like this. Well, his 10-inch oven mitts for hands allow him to do just that. These last two mental processing plays that I have for you are going to show his ability to throw with anticipation, and I want you to see when he starts his throwing motion on these throws and where the receivers are in their break. The receivers aren't even out of their break yet, and Caleb is throwing the ball. These are just two instances, but there are several more on his tape. Being able to throw with anticipation is an advanced level skill that a lot of quarterbacks don't enter the NFL with. It's something that they have to learn to develop once they get to the NFL, but Caleb is already coming into the league with this ability. The next play I want to look at is kind of a branch off of mental processing, but it's also something that's talked about with Caleb Williams a lot, and that's his willingness to play within the structure of the offense, and I want to show you that he's able to do it. On this first play, he's backed up in the shade of his own end zone and has to play within the structure of the offense. You can't afford to take a sack or get a penalty in the end zone and result in a safety here. At the snap, he looks to the hitch and moves the middle field linebacker to open up the middle of the field and hit this wrap in. From the end zone angle, we better see his vision to glance that hitch, move the linebacker, open the middle of the field, and then snaps his head back around, hitting that wrap in, moving the chains, and getting out of the shade of his own end zone. This play showed me a couple things. First of all, it showed his ability to manipulate secondary defenders, but also his willingness to play within structure when he knows that he has to. The next play, USC is faced with 3rd and 4, and Williams has a simple 4-yard hitch route to get the first, and he takes it. Again, playing within the structure of the offense. He showed several times that he's willing to play within the structure of the offense, but there's also instances that he doesn't. I'll show them to you now, where what he does is he doesn't throw to open receivers, he chases big plays, or he just tries to do too much. These typically have resulted in turnover-worthy plays in this last year. However, in his sophomore year, they really remarkably broke in his favor quite frequently. His playmaking and creation ability has sparked Patrick Mahomes-type comparisons, and as remarkable as it is, it's actually a fair comparison, but there is a distinct difference, and that needs to be pointed out. Mahomes is far more selective when he plays that style of ball. He knows he has that club in the bag when the time is right, and correctly reserves that style of play for those times. Williams, however, doesn't seem to have that off switch for it yet and lives by this style of play on a consistent basis, which understandably has yielded some remarkable plays, but like I said, it's also resulted in some head-scratching turnovers or turnover-worthy plays. There has to be that off switch, and maybe it already exists, but Lincoln Riley never wanted it off. Maybe he felt like he couldn't turn it off because his defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Whatever the reason, in the NFL, it has to be reined in if he wants to reach his full potential. Now I want to start looking at some of his pocket movement that has created such a great playmaking ability for Caleb Williams. Caleb has an innate ability to move within the pocket and recreate the center of pockets. Like on this play where he's going to drift back to bring the edges upfield, then stepping back into the pocket, rolling to his left and finding his receiver for the touchdown. When he's in the pocket, another thing that he does that a lot of college quarterbacks struggle with is choosing to climb the pocket rather than just rolling at the slightest hint of pressure. Williams shows that he's willing to stay in the pocket, climb the pocket, and keep his eyes downfield rather than becoming a runner and abandoning the pass. Another area of Caleb's game that he brings value is as a runner. He has good vision, speed, and elusiveness to operate as a designed runner on run plays, read option concepts, or when extending plays outside of the structure of the offense with his legs. On the first play, we see that the scrape exchange didn't keep good spacing, and Caleb gapped him for a large gain. On the second play, we see his creativity open space with the stiff arm to make the initial defender miss before getting into space along that sideline, giving a spin move to the second defender, creating a few more yards before hopping out of bounds. On the final play, we see him again get into space, use his vision and patience to allow his blockers to set up, and then when he can smell the end zone, he shows the toughness to lower his shoulder and power his way into the end zone and finish his run off with power. Now, the next aspect of Caleb's game that I want to talk about is what everybody already knows that he's elite at, and that's his playmaking ability. His playmaking ability is a accumulation of all the aspects of his game that we've already talked about. He combines those excellent movement skills, pocket presence, to consistently recreate centers of pockets and find receivers open downfield. He's a master escape artist who is slippery, and he's tough to get hands on, and when you do get hands on him, he's still tough to bring to the ground. When operating outside of the pocket, he's just as much of a threat as a runner as he is as a passer, but when operating outside of the structure, his processing and field vision downfield are absurd. He'll regularly find open receivers downfield, along the sideline, or on the back line of the end zone. He's also very creative when the defense thinks that they have him. He's just going to come out with this left-handed hook shot straight off the basketball court over defender's head on the sideline to pick up the first down and just demoralize the entire defense. As a playmaker, this is where he separated himself from the other collegiate quarterbacks in this class, and this is where those Patrick Mahomes comps come from. Now, with that being said, the creative flair that he does play the game with has also worked against him in some instances, which is going to lead to my next point and my first legitimate concern with Caleb, and that's when getting creative or operating outside of the structure of the offense has led to a high number of fumbles, but it's not all bad, so let's take a look at the good first. On this play, he's going to see pressure coming. He's going to use a conflict climb to protect the ball. A conflict climb is when a quarterback sees pressure and pivots into the pocket, sending his backside towards the pressure, protecting the ball with that backside. Still goes down for the sack, but this is good ball security in the pocket from Caleb Williams. Now, on these next couple plays, we're in the pocket again, and he does a really good job of keeping both hands on the ball, dropping his shoulder, and avoiding the tackle while climbing the pocket. Keeping both hands on the ball has proven to be a bit of an issue for him at times, but he doesn't always keep both hands on the ball. Times where he displays good ball security actually typically come in a game where he fumbled earlier in the game. And this shows his ability to adjust mid-game. It just has to be more consistent. We can't be waiting until that first fumble in the first half of the game to start protecting the ball in the second half. It's got to be more consistent. There are a lot of times where he's going to hold the ball away from his frame or only have one hand on the ball, and sometimes even uses the ball for balance on the ground. He needs to be more consistent, keeping two hands on the ball, keeping it close to his chest, and not getting over creative with his playmaking where he's actually putting the ball in harm's way. His fumbles were problems. The biggest question I had around him, honestly, he had 17 career fumbles and 8 in his final season, all 8 of which were recovered by the defense, and that's entirely too many. Possessions are so important in the NFL, and you can't just be giving away possessions like that. So Caleb's going to have to clean that up moving to the NFL, and I think he can do it, but it's just not going to be any easier moving to the NFL level. Now, the last area that I want to touch on, it's going to just need to be refined in the NFL. It's something that he's done very little of in college, and that's operating under center. He didn't have much exposure to snaps from under center, with majority of his snaps coming out of shotgun or pistol formations. He does have to put in the work to kind of learn that footwork and become more comfortable with it, but he's going to get there. You'd like to see the feet squared up under center rather than one set back farther while he's in his under center stance, but this is an easy correction, and then the footwork is just going to be more repetitions throughout practice, and he's going to get there. I have no doubt about that. So that's going to wrap up this video on Caleb Williams. In conclusion, I really, really like Caleb Williams, and I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback at the next level. My player comparison for him is actually Matthew Stafford. They both have that really good arm talent. Stafford's mobility is actually better than people realize, and they both have the ability to be a playmaker for their offense. With that being said, people are going to want to run with those Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen comps, and I see it, I really do, but I just like the Stafford comp a little bit better. I think it's a little more of a realistic outcome. So for me, he's an easy first overall pick for the Chicago Bears, and if I'm the Bears, there's no way that someone's going to be able to talk me out of 101. If they trade that 101 pick, I think it's going to be a decision that's going to haunt that franchise for the next decade plus, because Caleb Williams, certified, put a stamp on it, is a franchise quarterback at the next level. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for checking it out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel for more college, NFL, and draft content. Leave a comment below with where you stand on Caleb Williams. I always try to respond to everybody's comments, so please put your thoughts below and let's talk about it. Otherwise, we'll catch you at the next one. Peace.